Far below them stretches thousands of kilometers of open ocean. No nearby airports. No cities, no immediate help. Then it happens. One of the aircraft's engines suddenly falls silent.
We've lost engine 1.
Confirm. Engine 1 shut down.
Run the checklist. Check tain altitude. Let's see what we've got.
The cockpit fills with warnings.
Keep monitoring the engine. Parameters stable. Stay ahead of it.
The crew immediately focuses on the growing emergency. An engine failure over the Atlantic is serious, but modern airliners are designed to continue flying on a single engine. At this moment, the situation is difficult but still manageable. Or so it seems. Because the crew has no way of knowing that something even worse is approaching. The first engine has failed.
Monitoring conserves engine.
Now the fate of everyone on board depends on the remaining one. Inside the cockpit, the pilots work through emergency procedures.
Single engine operations are stable.
Every warning. Every checklist.
Let's verify every item. Checklist in progress. Fuel balance checked. Proceed. Stay methodical.
Every available option.
Let's review our options. Single engine operations are stable.
The aircraft turns toward the Azores Islands, one of the nearest places where a safe landing might be possible. Meanwhile, passengers remain largely unaware of the danger unfolding at the front of the aircraft.
Breakfast starts.
Many continue watching movies. Some read books. Others simply stare into the darkness beyond the cabin windows. Then the emergency escalates. Without warning, the second engine stops. The familiar roar of jet engines vanishes. The Air Transat jet is now completely powerless. No thrust, no backup engine, only altitude.
Maintain heading.
For the pilots, the reality is terrifying.
Stay ahead of it.
The aircraft has become a glider, nearly 39,000 feet above the Atlantic Ocean. Hundreds of lives now depend on whether they can stretch every bit of altitude into distance. The nearest runway remains far away, much farther than most people would imagine. The crew immediately shifts their focus. Altitude becomes their most valuable resource. Every foot matters. Lose it too quickly and they will never reach land. Manage it correctly, and survival might still be possible.
Stay methodical.
The aircraft descends silently through the night. No engine noise, no thrust. Only the sound of air moving across the fuselage. For many passengers, the unusual silence feels strange.
Now that you just descent is this.
For the pilots, it is a constant reminder that there is no margin for error. Minute after minute, the aircraft continues gliding. The crew carefully balances airspeed and descent rate.
Maintain best glide, monitor descent, every foot counts. Best glide maintainable, airspeed stable.
Too fast and valuable altitude will be wasted.
Airspeed stable, descent holding, monitoring.
Too slow, and the aircraft could become unstable.
Watch the airspeed, keep it right there. Stay on the profile. Holding best speed, airspeed stable.
Every decision carries enormous consequences. Below them stretches the Atlantic Ocean. Ahead lies their only chance of survival. As the minutes pass, the runway slowly grows closer.
Runway in sight, still a long way out. I have it. Distance is coming down slowly. Let's protect every foot of fuel. The glide path looks good. No second chance, understood.
For the first time since the emergency began, survival seems within reach. But reaching the airport is only half the challenge. Landing a powerless airliner is an emergency all its own. There will be no second attempt, no opportunity to go around. Everything depends on getting it right the first time. The Air Transat jet lines up with the runway. The approach is fast. The descent is steep. Inside the cabin, passengers prepare for landing. Many still do not understand how extraordinary the situation has become. Inside the cockpit, the crew remains completely focused. Years of training have led to this moment. Then the wheels touch the runway. The aircraft slams onto the ground.
Touch straight.
What's the plan?
Several tires burst instantly. The braking system is pushed to its limits. The aircraft races down the runway. For several tense moments, nobody knows whether it will stop in time. Then the speed begins to fall, slowly, steadily. Finally, the aircraft rolls to a halt. Against overwhelming odds, all 306 people on board survive. What should have become a major disaster has instead become one of aviation's greatest survival stories. But one mystery remains. Why did both engines fail over the middle of the Atlantic Ocean? Investigators immediately began searching for answers. Modern jet engines are remarkably reliable. The chances of both engines failing independently were extremely small. Something else had happened. The evidence soon pointed investigators in an unexpected direction. The engines themselves were not the primary problem. As investigators examined maintenance records and aircraft data, a disturbing picture began to emerge. The aircraft had gradually lost its fuel during the flight. Thousands of kilograms had disappeared unnoticed. The engines had not failed because of a mechanical breakdown. They had stopped because there was no fuel left to power them. The discovery raised an even bigger question. How could a modern airliner depart with enough fuel to cross the Atlantic and still run completely out of fuel before reaching its destination? The answer led investigators back to maintenance work performed before the flight. A replacement component had been installed on one of the engines. Although it appeared compatible, it was not the exact part required. Over time, the mismatch allowed fuel to leak from the aircraft. Hour after hour, fuel escaped into the atmosphere. Neither the passengers nor the crew initially realized what was happening. By the time the full extent of the problem became clear, much of the aircraft's fuel had already been lost. What followed was one of the most extraordinary emergencies in aviation history. An air transat jet crossing the Atlantic Ocean had become a powerless glider. Yet through skill, training, teamwork, and remarkable decision-making, every person on board survived. Today, Flight 236 remains one of the longest successful glides ever performed by a commercial jet airliner. A flight that should have ended in tragedy instead became a lasting example of professionalism under pressure and one of aviation's greatest survival stories.